Fiki, and we're at the Girls Right Now Agents of Change Award, and I'm going to interview Robin Thede.
Hey, good job.
Thanks. One interview, you talked about what it's like being in a room full of Black female writers and how comfortable it is. And I can see that from your new show. But what did you do before that, and how did you cope with being the only Black writer in the room?
I've been in the business a long time, like 18 years, and so I've been in all types of writers' rooms. For the first 10 years of my career, I was the only woman in any of the rooms, let alone the only woman of color, which it did happen a lot. When I had the chance to start hiring rooms, when I was the head writer at The Nightly Show with Larry Wilmore, I started by hiring 4 Black women, half of whom were also on camera, and that was a record in late night. It doubled the number of Black women who were in late night, which is crazy because it's such a small number. And then I had my own late night show, The Rundown with Robin Thede, and 75% of our staff was Black women there. And then when I got to HBO for a Black Lady sketch show, it was just 100% Black women. So I think I've been incrementally, continuing to raise that number because it is such a fun environment, especially creating the kind of content that I do. It's really important that Black women are writing for themselves because that's who's also performing the material. I think it was, a welcome change from the early days of writing. But it's good because it strengthens you. It makes you able to write in any kind of room with any kind of people and for anybody. So it's good as a writer to work in all types of rooms and to be able to represent your story, especially in rooms where not everybody looks like you.
At Girls Right Now, we kind of all have a mentor. So who's your mentor in life, and what did she do for you?
Well, unfortunately, the comedy industry is very male-dominated, right? So my mentor is Larry Wilmore, who is a man, but a Black man. And but what I will say is that I have a lot of peers, and we serve as kind of peer mentors to each other. So that's Issa Rae, who executive produces the show with me, Lena Waithe, all of these wonderful women who I've come up with and who are creating projects with and around me and what I'm doing. And I think that's just as important. That tribe of women is just as important as the mentors who help lead you along your path. But they've all been influential in different ways. Larry Wilmore and Chris Rock and Jon Stewart have been very instrumental in guiding me through my late night career especially, but just in comedy in general. And it's really helpful to have those mentors who can really help you when you get to each new level and teach you the pitfalls that you have to kind of look out for.
Do you journal? Or
I do. I was just journaling today at lunch. Yeah. I love to journal. I think journaling is really important. For me, it actually helps with self-care because I get a lot of anxiety. And so for me, journaling helps me get out all those things that are going on in a loop in my brain over and over. And once I get them out, I stop worrying about them so much. So yeah, I use journaling as a proactive self-care tool.
do you know what code switching is?
Yes.
Have you ever had to do that on the shows where you were the only Black woman writer?
Yeah, I've had to do that in a lot of environments. I've had to code switch. For me though, it's not even about being the only Black woman in the room. It's about being the only woman in the room. That's when you really have to code switch. You have to make sure you're one of the guys and that they're not threatened by you and that they're gonna openly accept your pitches. It's a really archaic and messed up system sometimes, but I do think it's changing. And I think that the days of all white, all male writers' rooms are, being called out, and I'm hoping those days are going to be behind us soon. Because there's no show on television that doesn't benefit from diversity, from having people of color in the room, and especially from having women of color in the room. So, I've had to code switch though, for sure. I don't really do it though, especially the older I get, I really don't code switch in front of I don't change my voice for white people or around Black people. I'm just the same.
That's good.
I just feel like you're gonna get what you're gonna get, and anybody who knows my work knows what I stand for, so you're just gonna get what you wanna get. But around guys though, I think you do kind of take off a little bit of, you take on rather a little bit more bravado, because especially comedy writers, you have to have a thick skin, otherwise they'll eat you alive.
Do you have any advice to a young woman or a woman of color, or anyone who's trying to become a screenwriter or a comedy writer?
Yeah, I think find your voice, find the things that make you excited and write about those things. I think my early mistakes as a writer was trying to write things that I didn't know anything about. And not to say you can't research, you can definitely research and write about things that you haven't firsthand experienced, but it's just better. I always find it's better and it's easier, and I get in that tunnel vision zone of writing when I'm passionate about the work. And so it's why a lot of times in my career I haven't been a writer for hire, but meaning I don't go to studio or TV meetings and have them pitch me ideas that they can hire me to write. I go and pitch them ideas. And a lot of writers are the opposite. They can just write whatever someone throws at them. It's like, oh, we have this 70s disco piece, go write this, even though you don't have any passion about it. And I think those kind of projects, you can tell when the writer didn't have passion about it. And it's like no shade to them, but I think in order to make this life very fulfilling, you have to write about the things that really matter to you.
What's something that nobody else knows about you, or like something you do?
The journaling thing, actually. I've never talked about that before.
Really?
Never talked about journaling. I've never really talked about anxiety. But I mean, all writers have it. Like,
Yeah.
that's normal. But I think I exude a lot of confidence and a lot of, kind of easygoing kind of nature, or like boss nature, And so I think a lot of people wouldn't think that I get nervous or that I worry about things, but I do all the time. And I think it's really normal and really human. And I think that's good, because when you see somebody who's successful, and know that they just go through the same things you do, then, there's really no difference. And to me, it's just like a matter of time. I always encourage people to just stay in the business. And with time, other people will fall away and your time will come. And it may come really soon, and it may take a long time. I've been in the business 2 decades, and some people are just knowing who I am. Some people will never know who I am, and that's okay. But I'm creating work that I'm really, really proud of, and I think that is all we can kind of ask for.